All right, so welcome to another edition of Sherry Shares. I'm Sherry, I am your host, and I have the lovely Natalie Melo on the call today. Hey, Natalie. So I met Natalie back in 2014, I believe it was. It was just after the birth of your
Yeah.
daughter. And we had met at the course with Martin Pressay. First he had a
That's right.
2-day event. And so it was all about how to write your book. And the two of us, we were
hmm
both interested in bringing our work out into the world. But at that time, you already had your first book published. Your
Yes, I
first,
already had one book of poetry published at that point,
you
uh,
did.
and and then a second one came out in 2014. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's the rule of three: 212, one book; 213, I birthed a child, and then in 214 I birthed
Yeah,
a
book.
third
Yeah, your
event,
third
which would have been the
child.
second book. Yeah,
Your third baby.
yeah, my third child, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really fun to watch, your transition over these last 6 years since I've known you. Because when I first met you, you were still working downtown, as was I. We both were, career girls,
Yes.
corporate girls. But and you were into event planning, which you were spectacular at. It was a real passion. But then having this little bundle, that came into your
Mm,
life at age 41, it's like, whoa, big
the
time
big
for
whoa,
big
big
time
whoa.
for reinvention and transition.
Absolutely. And, in hindsight, my husband was turning 40 in 2012, and he didn't want to be in the city, right, in the cold for his birthday because he's a Christmas baby. And we planned this elaborate trip. We went to a resort, adults only. So we know we won't be going back there anytime soon.
Yeah, those
and
days are over for
uh,
a while.
and the story goes there was fun, sun, and rum, maybe a little bit too
Mm.
much rum. And when we we arrived in the Dominican, there was two of us, and when we left, well, there were three of us. And
That's
9 months
cute.
later, she was born, and probably not probably the best gift that I could have received. uh, full disclosure, not an easy pregnancy psychologically for myself. I think
Mm.
I played myself. I got myself going many a times simply because I was going to be 41 when I had her, and I thought, oh, what if she's not healthy? How are we going to handle
Yeah,
this? How
yeah,
can I be a mom at 41?
yeah.
But to be honest, when I look at my who had children many years, in their 20s, I would never been equipped to have a child in my 20s.
Right.
Uh, I think honestly, my perspective on motherhood is so much different at 41.
Yeah.
I'm much more easygoing about some things. I think the experience, the 30 plus years I have of working with children and youth really comes in, and I can
Oh,
apply
yeah.
that degree that I got at Vanier finally.
Yeah.
uh, and it all kind of came together, and having her then was best for us, best, I
Mm.
think, for both of us as a couple as well, both settled in our union together, so having her come to us was just the perfect timing.
What a beautiful gift that you came home with, eh? Oh my God, great
100%,
story. Sun, rum,
100%.
fun, yeah, and
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
one.
And a little one,
Little one.
absolutely. And you're right. I was in the corporate world. I was in sales and events and loving that. I was very good at it, and I'm not sure that it was necessarily my passion as much as I was just good at it. And I remember
Mm.
having that conversation with a colleague, and he said, well, isn't this your passion? I said, well, no, I'm very good at what I do, but I said, it's not where I thrive and I shine. And he thought, okay.
Ah,
And this is somebody, of course, who'd been in the business for probably his whole career, and he just knew nothing different. And I think we had this conversation, or I've had it with other people, where when I went to school, you went to school, you got a job, and you carried on.
yep,
And now they
yeah.
actually are teaching entrepreneurship in schools,
I
which
think
is
that's brilliant.
fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
that's
brilliant. Oh,
yeah.
so the idea of launching this business was a bit foreign. I even remember the person who suggested it to me saying, Pasha, that is not going to happen for me. But it ended up after conversations and figuring out how we can make it happen, I decided I did go back to after my mat leave and secretly worked on my business at my job, but intuitively knew that this job wasn't going to last. There were too many signs, things that lined up. And within 6 months of being there, they let me go.
I remember that. That's right.
6 months.
That's when I knew.
Pretty much to the day. And I'll always remember that the following Monday, it was about -36 that Monday morning, and I didn't have to go anywhere.
Yay!
It was a good Monday morning.
Yeah,
it was a
I
good
bet.
Monday morning, but it was a huge transition. And as we were talking, I pulled out this poem, and if you're good with it, I'd love to share it with everybody.
I would love for you to share this with everybody. So show the cover of your book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
this book was
I own
called
that one. Yeah,
Taking Shape.
Yeah.
And the poem's actually called Transition. So it says, I crossed the line, making the shift, leaving momentarily the womanhood I'd always known. Looking back in the distance through the haziness at what was, looking forward to a plethora of adventure, welcoming my new identity of motherhood for the moment. The line is gray, and I sway between both worlds, clinging to what was, anticipating what will be, forever connected to the inner me. Remembering my roots, holding on to my integrity, purposely creating balance, a self-service, wearing the right shoes at the right time, and being my ideal.
Wow.
And really that's what it was. It was a struggle because we actually had plans to move away to the Middle East, my husband and I, to work. And we're lovers of the hot weather, and we didn't want to be in this cold weather anymore. And here we are, okay, our whole world just exploded. And the person who introduced me to this concept of entrepreneurship really got me thinking. And she pointed out, people listen. You have a stage presence. And I'm not talking like an auditorium stage, just being present.
You do.
The grasp of the concept and showing people how they can shine as the speaker. Really having that vision and that using the intuition to tap into that and say, do this, do that. And that's what's going to make you grand. Because that's the idea. The idea always for me and my business is, how can I make you great?
Wow. Well, you find and interesting work.
Oh,
I bet you
100%, 100%. And working with professionals and business owners is, one piece of the pie. In 2016, and you and I both believe in this, things happen for a reason. I was at the Ormstown Fair with my daughter. She fell asleep, and I was walking around the barns, checking out all the kiosks, and this girl was there, and we started talking, and I actually was wearing the makeup that she was selling. And I said, I'm wearing your mascara. I love creating conversation. Anytime I can talk about myself, subtly and strategically, I will make it happen. But she said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a public speaking coach. She said, well, could you come to my high school and teach my grade 8 students? Sherry, that was my high school where I graduated
from. Talk about serendipity.
Oh yeah, and the high school that I freaked out, where I had to do presentations and wanted to vomit, and I was nervous and shy and all of those things.
Right. One of the hardest things for kids is getting up in front of the class and having to do that talk. Yeah, my kids too hated it. My son more so, but yeah. So there's.
But imagine if they had the skills then, and as they shift into youth and young adulthood and into their careers, they have the foundation.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to my old high school and working with the grade 11 students for a full day, doing workshops on all the, what I call the pieces of the speaking puzzle, showing them how it could be a bit easier. And I walked out, and I remember turning back and looking at the school and thinking, okay, people don't do this in school. Yeah. that's where I created Teen Talk. So the Teen Talk program really focuses on youth. I would say probably like the 12, 10 is probably the youngest I would go, but 10 and up. And the material really is the same. It just shifts depending on who is being taught.
Okay, when you say 10, you mean grade 10, is that right?
No, 10 years
No,
old.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Oh,
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
clarify that because you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
high
So
school.
like high
Okay.
school, I mean, high school's my preferred age group. I won't lie. Like I love connecting with them. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
my heart is still young. So there's a certain level of playfulness I bring to it, a certain level of humor as well to connect with them. And in doing so, it makes the program fun.
Yeah, and that's so key.
Oh, 100%.
And that's the thing with speaking is we put so much pressure and stress, and because we're so afraid of being judged and we're not going to be good enough, and right, it's all those little squirrely things that run around in our brains going, you're not good enough. But if you let go of that, like just having a conversation like you and I are having right now, like and that's the way to do it is, just connect in with your audience, connect in with people, and just speak from the heart, and just be aligned and have fun with it. And you're so good at all of that. I mean, that's your wheelhouse right there, right?
It is, absolutely. And some people struggle doing this.
Yeah.
And there is a methodology or a method to the madness to create the conversation. Yes, it seems robotic in the methodology of writing out what you would say. But once you embrace it and practice it and repeat it, it just flows. It's just part of, and what I say is I want it to be in your back pocket. So you just pull it out anytime somebody says, what do you do? This is what I do. Yeah, this is what I'm good at. Nice. And you have it and you're ready. And feeling ready is probably one of the best feelings ever because I got this every time.
Yes, exactly. Every time. No stress. And part of the methodology, would you say that what you're using is similar to Toastmasters? They kind of have.
I was a Toastmaster for many years, about 12 years. I was part of two big chapters here in the Montreal area, and they certainly served a great teaching tool. And anybody who will come to me and say, "Oh, should I try it?" 1,000%. The difference is that if you're looking for results tomorrow,
that's it.
Toastmasters, I don't want to say they won't give you that, but they have a methodology that the learning is done in a certain way.
It's long term.
So I want to say that I have created my own methodology where I want you to get from 0 to hero, in maybe 2 months, depending on what your end goal is, right? Yeah. So if your end goal is you have a keynote to do for a 40-minute keynote, well, the methodology for that will be different than I need to prep for an interview.
Yeah, right. So that's another great key area.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Interviews,
these kids aren't being taught that as well. So I love that. And I love the distinction with Toastmasters. I also went through Toastmasters for a few years, loved it, but it is a very, it's a slow program. There's modules that you follow, and there's no rush to do the modules. So you can spend a whole year and not even hit one module, it's
the engagement commitment is on you.
But so I love that the difference is you're getting them out of the gate really, really quick.
And my goal too is also that whole idea of wash, rinse, repeat. Come, learn, and take it and roll with it. Now you have it. You've done it. I've showed you. Yes, call me. You have a question. I'll answer the question. But the idea is that you don't need to hang on. I think that, you've been a coach, you know what it's like. You give your clients tools so that when they have to be on their own, they can go back to the tools.
That's right. That's
the ultimate goal. Yeah.
So that's really good. I just wanted to go back for a second about when you were, so you made that transition.
Yeah.
So, and not only did you transition your career, but you and your husband at the time were living downtown. It was the whole downtown vibe, the downtown life. And so then you packed up and you moved to Beverly, right? You headed out west, you headed to the burbs, So how's
that?
Yeah.
It was when you get into real adulthood. So when children show up, the carefree life isn't as attainable.
Right.
And we wanted that experience for our daughter, the yard and the space. And we were living in an upper duplex in Montreal.
Mm.
And at the time, like I mentioned earlier, we were planning on actually traveling to the Middle East. So we took this place thinking we'll be here for a year and then we're going to skedaddle out. And we ended up staying there, I think 2 full years or 3 full years. I can't quite remember right now. And my husband found this place where we are now because he was online looking in Rigo and he said, oh, that's way too far.
Yeah.
So he just he went onto the map and came and ended up in Paincourt, which is just on the island of Ile Perrot. And he said, what do you think about this? And I thought, do you know where that is? It's my city guy, you know, my guy who's lived in the city his whole life, has traveled, has seen the country and things like that, but not lived outside.
Yeah.
And we came to see our house and we actually put a bid on a different house and I lost my job the next day.
Wow.
So we did not get that house.
Yeah.
We got the current house that we're in. And this was the one I felt like we belonged in.
Mm.
And we have a small yard because we didn't want a lot of maintenance. And we have a little, you know, patch of grass in the front, and that's all we wanted. And we really like it out here. We like it. We're not that far from the city. It's about 25 minutes. We have our daughter goes to a wonderful school, great community,
Fabulous,
you know,
eh?
friendships in and out of this area. It's good. It's a good place. And now that, you know, we have all this great technology, I don't even have to leave my home to work.
That's right.
I love the technology. I mean, I love, of course, seeing clients in person, but embracing this makes a difference.
Yeah, it really does. You know, there's been so many positives with COVID. It's teaching us as a humanity of how we can do without, how we can live differently, how we can embrace, how we can connect differently. Yeah, there really are a lot of good things coming out of this whole 2020 year.
The possibilities are endless. I mean, I'm connecting with business owners across the world, having conversations, creating contacts and potential clients who are not even in my city. They are outside of Canada.
So you may not live in West Indies, but you could connect in with those people.
Oh my gosh. Hey, listen, I have an appointment today with somebody from Peru.
Ah, there we go. There we go. So you're keeping busy as a speaking coach. You help adults and teens.
Yeah, that's right.
To speak better in front of people. To you know, there's always, as an entrepreneur, we're taught the elevator speech or the, you know.
Oh yes, the pitch.
The pitch. Well, yeah, because when somebody says, "Well, what do you do?" You know, most entrepreneurs, most of us kind of flounder, going, well, I kind of do a little of this and a little of that. Well, before you know it, you've gone up that elevator ride, you've hit your floor, and the person's getting out, and they still have no flipping clue what you do. So it's so essential to kind of narrow that in like 30 seconds, because maybe you've got 10 floors in the elevator ride. You got to get out and be succinct and hit home exactly what you do, so that you can find your people who want to work with you. So,
100%. Yeah, and the idea. In my case, I really want people to tap into who they are before that elevator pitch, because if you don't know who you are as a business owner, when you speak, you will not know that. So I do touch on things like business values. What is important to you? What is it? How do you want to be represented as a speaker? How do you want to look? You know, for me, my values I hold on to are authenticity, fun, and humor. I have to laugh. Can't laugh. Lately, I've embraced bold, empathy, things like that, because they're all things that I relate to and I can get out there. So when I do share the different stories or pitches, it also is geared towards who's in front of me. So there's two things. We present every day. So this is a presentation. Conversations are presentations. Pitches are presentations. Keynotes or presentations, but your audience is also, you know, changed. Our audience today maybe mainly women. And then when I go to a business meeting, well, I have business owners, I have to pitch differently. So it's knowing how to shift those conversations and presentations. So I really focus when I work with clients, make them understand you present every day.
That's amazing. That's a challenge because, as you said, the cornerstone of who you are is authenticity. So you're standing in your authenticity. However, that authentic being has to shift a little bit based on the audience that you're speaking to.
100%. And you have to stay in that all the time.
Yeah.
The girl you are talking to today is the girl that you're going to talk to tomorrow. I'm not going to change any of that.
Right.
You know, after a coffee or two, it's always better. But you know, all I'm saying is
a glass of wine or two is better.
A glass of wine or two can help as well. But I think that people forget that no matter who they're talking to, they have an audience. So you have to gear towards your audience.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are important. They're the ones that you want to impact. So how are you going to impact?
Beautiful. I've been to a lot of different networking groups, and you'll hear different people stand up and they'll say, I do this and I am that and I do this. And I'm thinking, okay, but what are you doing for me? Right? How am I connecting with you?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So it's wonderful that you have maybe, you know, this pedigree of whatever, but what are you actually doing for me? So I think that's so key to know your audience, telling them, helping them know what you're doing, what you're there to do to help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those are just things we lose sight of.
Yes.
And probably in what I do is I bring a lot of awareness to people speaking of what they're saying, how they're saying it. And now how can we just tweak it so that you are able to really show up with the credibility, show up being visible, and being the expert that you should sound like. Because you and I both know when you need help with something, you seek out the help.
That's right.
So if you want to get in shape, you might get a dietitian and a trainer. If you have
plumbing problem,
you know,
you're not going to call an electrician.
No, you call on the expert.
Yes.
And I suppose in the same sentiment, if you are struggling or have fear of speaking, you know, the go-to person would be somebody like myself who really knows that this, and I come from a place of empathy. I too have fears of speaking. I mean, it's normal.
Yeah, the heart starts pounding.
But it's about, okay, how can we get past it? Well, we get past it by tapping in who you are, talking about yourself, feeling good about it. Because for many years, I'm sure you can attest, we're told not to talk about ourselves like that, not to boast, not to do any of the
conceited.
things.
No.
No,
but
I'm
the expert.
True.
Yeah,
no, it's
exactly.
And saying it really with humility and strategy.
Yeah, so key.
And being humble.
And you teaching starting with the teens or even the 10-year-olds. My gosh, Natalie, that is brilliant work that you're doing. So many kids today need more of you. So you need to make a whole army of minions and set them all out there in all the schools, and because it'll make a brilliant future for humanity as a whole. The more
Absolutely.
you teach the kids today, you know, entrepreneurial skills, speaking skills, budgeting skills, like there's all of these things that they should be learning at the school.
Life skill. There's so many life skills that need to be out there.
You know, just you know, EI, like emotional intelligence. And anyway, sweetie, our time has flown. I want to thank you.
I was just about to say we must be up.
We are. It went so fast. So if anybody wants to get a hold of Natalie, she's on nataliemelo.com. I'll put your URL on the
perfect.
And so your programs are on there. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Natalie for you know, to
absolutely
to polish up your speaking skills.
Nice.
Hey, great talking to you. We'll catch up again another time.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks everybody for listening. So remember, once again, please be kind to Mother Earth. She's the only planet we have. We don't have a planet B. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.